for a foot or an inch, yeah, I fight for you all. Is the truth and I'm in, yeah, I fight for every breath that I take, and I fight for every step that I make. When you add up the inches, life or death, winning or losing is the difference. You are the witness, inches around us, every second decisions. Too slow and I missed it, fast and I skipped it, but I'm on time so I gripped it. If you are ready to die then you will get this. If you're afraid of your life then you fight for that edge. No matter how far I come, I know I still got a step to take. Pull that shit. Yeah, I do what I have to get where I got to. He does that shit. I've been called worse by better, so what can you do to me? Fight for that edge. This is more than a team, it's family, and I'll die for them.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 15-year tradition of Super Indy Tournament continues here in Elizabeth, Pennsylvania. Joe Dabrowski, Jay Worthington Farnsworth to celebrate a decade and a half of Super Indy excellence with the 15th annual tournament.
Kids, every year I give a prediction. I tell you who's going to win it. And every year I fall way short of that mark. But this year, I turn it around, Joe. You're looking at the winner of Super Indy. Mark my words. The man with the golden hips. Sex Luger himself, Dinero.
Darin Dinero qualified with a victory. Darin Dinero with a victory over Dave Christ on the way to Super Indy prominence. Perhaps even more impressive than his qualifying matchup was his victory over the trendsetter, the innovator of Super Indy, that being Super Hentai.
Unfortunately, sorry Dave to interrupt you. We have some unfortunate news here tonight. I found out earlier this morning Zachary Wentz was unable to compete tonight. He injured his ankle in an event last night. He is here, but after we checked him out, he was unable to compete. And so we initially thought that we would move Darren on to the second round. But Darren, I know you would never want that. You want to earn this. And I know that you guys paid to see an 8-man tournament. So we made a few calls to a few former Super Indy champions. And we got a new entrant to tonight's tournament.
What?
Well, if Zachary's out, who's in?
Standby entrant here tonight.
Did it just get cold in here?
Talk about somebody with Super Indy experience. With the field of 8 as we knew it, only 2 men, I believe, have a history in this prestigious field. Throw that out the window. Jayworth, I believe this would be the New Age Plague Gory's 7th Super Indy Tournament. I believe that's a record.
Yeah, I was going to say, that surpasses... that even surpasses Super Hentai, I think. Normally when I need to find that out, I check with Dombrowski.
And check out the reaction of this crowd. A hush has settled over the Court Time Sports Center as the vibe of the mood certainly changes. Zachary Wentz is an explosive young athlete, not altogether unlike Gori on the surface, but an ankle injury did cause Zachary to go back from whence he came, and as a result, Gori brought into the mix as, I'm not sure if you want to call him a ringer, but a man who's held the Super Indy title, held the tag team titles, and is a veteran of this atmosphere.
Let's make no mistake, if anyone knows how to get that title and knows what the cost of that title, it's Gori.
We've seen Gori absolve friendships, partnerships, and almost turn into an animalistic, carnivorous creature, all in the pursuit of gold and glory. And Darren with the side headlock. Darren certainly the upper body mass to be at an advantage in this match. Gori, a great choice, though, as the #1 standby entrant. Think about the competitive nature of his matchup back at the 15th anniversary this past March against technically still Super Indy champion Andrew Palace.
Yeah, very good point, Joe. Well, you are making some good points early on here.
I apologize for making you uncomfortable.
Try not to waste all that genius in the early part of it. By the end of this, you'll just be, You're
speaking nicely, or at least by your standards. Yeah. I think that means you want to borrow money.
I'm not going to give it back, Joe.
There's a tackle. Dinero sends Gori to the canvas.
I was going to say, the one place that Gori cannot compete with Dinero here is pure power.
Dinero has been following the Super Indy Championship for about a decade now. He used to sit in the crowd of IWC Wrestling and watch, former IWC Super Indy champion, the late great Sweet and Sour Larry Sweeney, and many others. You watch the IWC DVDs and digital releases from IndyWrestling.us closely, you'll see Darren in the crowd. You'll see him watching and dreaming of a day that may be to come. That day has arrived here tonight.
And a beautiful set of arm drags by Gori. Oh, and now just slapping into the chest. You know how much that hurts? Whoa!
Amazing body control. Gori can use his anatomy as an offensive weapon, perhaps like no other. And Gori charges, but Darren meets him. Little swagger, little confidence from Darren.
Like you said, Darren's been preparing for this for years. Years!
Many of Darren's friends and family are here tonight. He was profiled in the Mon Valley Independent, his local newspaper here down around Elizabeth. They talked about a pro wrestler, Darren, living his dream and going for championship glory here tonight. Count of one. Can Darren's name be added to a list that includes the likes of AJ Styles, Chris Sabin, Colt Cabana, John McChesney, DJ Z, and many others?
Well, before we ever find out if that name can be added, he has to get past Gori, which is no easy task.
Not at all. As Darren elevates Gori, the one-man flapjack. 2-0. And Dinero and Wentz, certainly you have to have a different state of mind in that matchup compared to Dinero and Gori. Gori, the biting, the animalistic nature, the ruthlessness. Wentz is a very breathtaking performer, but it's hard to draw a comparison to Gori, mind, body, and soul.
It is. You have to figure this has to throw Darren Dinero's game plan off because Gori will find whatever boundaries you have and cross them. He does not care what it takes. He will do it if it throws you off your game.
This could do it here, 2-0.
And if it means he can pick up a win, or not even if he can pick up a win, if he can just make sure that you feel the pain of that loss.
Traditional 8-man tournament. Some Super Indies have had upwards of 10 or even 14 competitors in years gone by.
Oh!
But we're back to the one-on-one single elimination format as Gori, again, using his body as an offensive weapon, drives all that weight into the upper body of Dinero.
Zero resistance clothesline into the corner.
Yeah. Focuses his target behind Dinero in that regard. And now the springboard. Gori connects with a low drop kick cover here. Can he trap the shoulders? 2-0, that's all he'll get. Can you imagine Gori, who was, up until we went on the air, as far as we knew, not a part of this tournament? Gori can come in and win this and turn Super Indy completely upside down.
Very true. You have to believe that no one here was planning to fight someone the likes of Gori. Oh.
And there you see Gori digging in. And again, some people would say statistically Palace is the best of the field here tonight.
Oh.
And he just barely overcame Gori a couple of months ago. Dinero with a boot.
Oh.
Gosh.
Oh! That's 2 in a row. Gori's still standing and still has the wherewithal to block this, I'm guessing, a German suplex.
Oh, it could be the final payment. Dinero's put many a man away with this. Gori trying to hang on. Submission attempt. Rather not a submission, it's illegal, but certainly a hold that does its damage.
Cutting off that airway, cutting off the blood. And you and I want to point out those were 2 huge boots to the head, and Gori just shook it off.
That holds shades of Corey Graves some year back. Another former Super Indy champion as Dinero with a release T-bone. Could this be all? 2-0.
Pound for pound, Gori might be the most resilient man I've ever seen in IWC. We've seen him take abuse and stand right back up and continue fighting.
But a lot of spotlight's been on Darren. Jay Worth, what do you think is the biggest strength Darren Dinero brings to the table?
I think he has, in this match or total?
Overall.
I don't know that anyone wants it more than Darren Dinero, outside of possibly Palace.
Oh, Dinero caught him on the rebound with a clothesline, hook at the leg, but Gori has an answer.
Like I said, Palace has the title. Palace knows what it means to keep it, but Dinero has, like you said, has been watching this since he was a kid. He finally has his shot. I don't know that he necessarily wants it any less.
Keep in mind, though, Gori has been competing in these matches since he was a kid. First Super Indy 4, age 18.
Yeah, very true.
Gori springboarding in. Stepped off a beautiful Hurricane Rana. Great adjustment by Gori. Dinero's got more upper body and total body mass, but Gori does not let that be a detractor.
Well, I want to point out Dinero, one of the smarter moves I've seen, saw that Hurricane Rana coming. Oh! Stepped into it, which changes how you have to move your body around. Throws a lot of people off. Not Gori, he just corrected.
Gori puts multiple revolutions to get the most out of that impact. And what an ovation as these fans appreciate the embodiment of Super Indy. Gori with a cover for 2.
He bounces up just a little off that top rope and then just lets gravity pull him right down onto Darren Dinero. Good hard thud.
Dinero, not a lot of tournament experience from my understanding. Endurance is a huge, huge key in this tournament, especially when we get to the later round matchups.
Keeping gas in the tank.
How do you justify trying to pace yourself versus fighting for your life from Gori gnawing at your skull?
Well, the thing is, right now, you can't think about pacing. You have to think about, I need to get to the next round.
Dinero just needs to get a breath in his body at this point. As Gori, I've seen him utilize this submission. Not sure he's used it in IWC. If Gori can drop back, it's almost like watching a death in a horror movie. That's how quickly he snaps it off. But Dinero backs Gori into the ropes, negates that opportunity.
That upper torso strength didn't let him snap that off.
Gori fighting his way out of the corner.
Whoa.
QAS! A Gori staple for many years. Got him now!
Planted that perfectly too, Joe. Right down across on the back of the neck.
And you and I could go through the old DVDs and digital files and find many a man who could not kick out of the QAS.
Very true. We've called it for years. Oh!
Pestilence! That controversial submission is going to cut off the air of Dinero. Darren will begin to fade unless he thinks of something quickly. Notice the neck strength of Gori to bridge up and keep his own shoulders off the mat. But Darren elevates Gori. Breaks the grip.
Oh!
He calls that greetings from Elizabeth. Darren hooks the leg. Darren moves on. A man who's watched it all his life, a man who should have been qualified last year if not for a technicality. The guns go back in the holster for the Tinder terrorist Jay Worth. What did you like most about Dinero in this outing?
Well, I like the fact that he was able to adapt, and improve. This was not the person he thought he was going to be going against, but he changed his game plan, adapted to Gori, which in and of itself is a feat, and he moves on in the tournament. Like I said, my pick to take the title.
You never know when the ominous Gori will be surface, but he leaves here showing respect. No one in this building tonight knows the rigors of Super Indy more than the New Age plague. Darren Dinero passed his first test. If he's lucky, there's 2 more to go, however. You want to talk about two warriors, two fighters in every sense of the word in this next quarterfinal round matchup. That's what we're in store for. I was very impressed by this man. Four-way qualifying matchup. The only man that needed to beat three men at once. Alex Daniels, Timmy Luretin, and Chris LeRusso. This man outlasted them all to enter tonight's field of 8. He is Desmond Xavier.
Introducing first, from Dayton, Ohio, weighing in at 186 pounds, Unleash, Desmond Xavier.
He says he's the Unleashed because he's no longer held back from the shackles of fear, doubt, or human limitation. And those are great qualities to not have in Super Indy. It's about pushing your body beyond the normal limits. No fear if you want to survive the field of 8. And an interesting backstory outside of the ring as well we'll talk about. Desmond Xavier has some privileged classified information, we'll say.
Really?
But one thing he does not know is if he can come out on top against what some are saying is an odds-on favorite. Josh Alexander has been one of the most talked about athletes to come out of Canada in the past several years. How tough is this man? How much does he live up to the walking weapon diatribe? This man broke his neck a few years ago, was back in the ring in a matter of weeks. Stubbornly, some would say stupidly, but undeterred, Alexander refused to quit. Unfortunately, a bone spur dislodged as a result of not rehabbing the injury. And he spent 9 months thinking his career was over, in retirement. However, Alexander battled back a little bit smarter, but just as intense, just as determined. And that brings Alexander here tonight. Alexander wearing that amateur-style head guard. That is not because Alexander is an amateur wrestling standout. It's to protect a pre-existing ear injury and cauliflowering and calcification of that ear. So some may be misled to expect an amateur game out of Alexander. That is not his style.
No, although I was about to say, although don't expect him to not be able to lock up either.
Right. His style is power, intensity, and in your face. Xavier, there's not much he can't do. 27 years old, 3-year pro, based out of Dayton, Ohio. Alexander, I believe, Hamilton, Ontario. His original origin. There's a hard power slam into the cover for 1.
A good catch by Alexander there. Turned Xavier around and just dumped him hard on the mat. Oh, felt that.
And you gotta wonder if the neck will be a target. If Xavier has a chance as Xavier, able to turn things around, catch Alexander with a boot in the corner. Pace quickens its advantage. Desmond.
Whoa.
Gonna unleash some offense. Nicely done. Xavier is a 6-year Air Force veteran, and it may be time to see him take to the air at this moment. Alexander out of harm's way.
Wisely out of the way. Oh! And look at the speed on Xavier.
Drop kick nicely done, cover for 1. Xavier has history working in the presidential aircraft security and in nuclear security, and then he followed it up with, and that's all I can talk about.
Well, once you are bound to a code, you are bound to a code, Joe.
So who knows what Desmond has seen or what he knows, and maybe that's hardened him and toughened him up in preparation for a wrestling career.
Well, I mean, I know what he's seen. He told me.
You were there?
Well, no, but he told me. He just won't tell you.
Don't let that go public. I think you may disappear for a while.
Oh, no, it's okay. I have clearance.
Alexander going to make Xavier disappear. Hard impact in the outside of the ring, the apron, I should say, as Xavier hits a awkward landing on the outside, cut the guardrail on the way down as well. We talk about Alexander, his history. Just a few weeks ago, Alexander won the most prestigious tournament in the Ohio area, the JT Lightning Invitational in Cleveland. I believe there were, correct me if I'm wrong, someone will email me, 24 entrants in that tournament that lasted 2 days. So Alexander proved to be very, very tough.
Well, you don't just call yourself the walking weapon. Or you don't call yourself the walking weapon very long if you're not. So eventually someone's going to want to test that.
Xavier competed in the CZW Best of the Best this year, which ended up being won by another entrant in Super Indy this year we'll talk about later. As Alexander, using his size, using his might to control Xavier. Remember, Jay Worth, Xavier really excelled when he was able to create that distance and really dictate that pace. It was a lot more chaotic. There were 3 bodies around. Xavier could get lost in the shuffle and come out with a big-time maneuver. Alexander not letting that happen.
And very smart. He knows that Xavier's quick. And the way you make sure someone doesn't beat you with quickness is you stay on top of them. You don't give them that space to let the engine rev, so to speak. Case in point.
Great combo and a release overhead. Alexander sent Desmond almost outside the ring. Hook of the leg 2 is all he'll find.
5 minutes on by. 5 minutes.
Less of a suplex and more of just a toss. He went flying, Joe. So, Joe, I've already put my neck out on the line. Who are you picking for Super Indy?
Well, it may just be because I'm looking at him now, and certainly not because of the current flow of this matchup, but I like Desmond Xavier. And the reason I do is because he overcame 3 men to get here. Very explosive, made an impact in just one night in IWC, which you and I know there's a short list in the past 15 years of guys who have made that kind of a first impression. I think it'd be a great way to capitalize on that, keep building that momentum with a victory here. Of course, I thought of that before he drew Alexander.
Yeah, very true. Everything you said was absolutely right. The problem is right now he's in the ring with a walking weapon. Oh, big bell clap.
Alexander went to go into the striking game. Xavier, multiple revolutions. And the foot connects with the head of Alexander, who is knocked loopy.
The thing about an attack like that is you have no idea what he's going to do. You see that first flip, and you're wondering, is he going to backhand spring into an elbow? I doubt you're expecting he's going to keep flipping and then just knee my head twice. So 2 knees, 1 strike. So.
And a major turning point forthcoming. Needless to say, whoever to their feet first will have the advantage, but neither looking all that... oh, look at Desmond! That explosive offense, where did he pull that out from?
2 steps backward, and all of a sudden he's across the ring.
Great roll through. Oh, this guy is so fluid.
Oh! Mouthful of boot.
Regardless of your size, of your height, Desmond making every impact count, near fall.
Corkscrew moonsault. Corkscrew moonsault standing on the ring.
I believe he calls that the erratic static, Jay Worth.
Really? You put my name in it?
No, it's just the erratic static, and I was addressing you. The importance of commas in everyday life. Hard shot to the face.
Oh!
The roaring elbow. Desmond was out before he hit the ground. Alexander gets a near fall.
Alexander caught him as he was falling and just rolled him right into the pin. That was 2.5, maybe even 2 3/4 there, Joe. Can we talk about Xavier's pedigree for a moment?
His pedigree?
His pedigree.
Well, certainly.
Having been trained by.
Well, certainly has been trained both in Maryland as well as Dayton, Ohio. He's been mentored by Dave Christ in recent times. He's been part of that Scarlett and Graves group in CCW that's also known in some circles as Ohio is for Killers. So not only is he an amazing natural athlete, hanging around the likes of Dave Christ, you get a mean streak instilled in you as well. The STO. And Xavier capitalizes.
Oh, good knee. Beautiful knee trembler.
And Alexander now out on his feet. Trying to break the grasp. Had him oh so elevated just slightly. Alexander. Oh my.
Up and down.
This could do it here. Covered. Oh. And again, Jay Worth, can you imagine being on the shelf for upwards of a year, not knowing if you'll ever be back, thinking this is the end? Alexander has formally retired in the past. There was a point where he closed the book on this part of his life. It's a second life, and he's certainly made the most of it in recent months.
Yeah, I give him all the credit in the world. There are a lot of people that literally don't walk away from a bone spur in the neck. So for him to be able to come back, it shows the gut check that he is capable of. Takes a certain level of fortitude.
Alexander slowing things down. You could tell Desmond having trouble keeping his footing. And the more Alexander will strike, the more he'll run away with this thing.
Oh!
Neck first in the corner. Oh no.
Heading to the top.
Alexander taking a chance.
Xavier working his way out. Oh! And he just dumped him right on his head.
Awkward, uncomfortable landing, but Desmond still moving, and Desmond still comes back. Right around the temple, that protective head guard may have been the only saving grace, but no way to recover from the head scissors takeover. Desmond advances. No.
10 minutes gone by. 10 minutes.
Wow.
Is there anybody in Super Indies prior Desmond reminds you of?
Several. Why? Who are you thinking, Joe?
You could draw a lot of comparisons. Facade, Flip Kendrick. Oh, a spinning tombstone, that'll do it. It may be all for naught now.
That's it.
Alexander advances.
I was going... I was going to say Xavier reminded me a lot of Gori in that he just got dumped on his head and then was able to stand right back up. But also, like Gori, he's not advancing in the Super Indy Tournament.
Yeah, Desmond reminds me of many on a long, arduous list of casualties along the way. Great ovation for Josh Alexander, a standing ovation by many, as Alexander, one major tournament in his back pocket, could add to that resume. Respect from Alexander to Desmond, much deserved. Dunkerton was part of Super Indy a year ago, and one can argue that on paper, Sugar had the toughest draw of the lot because he was eliminated by Cedric Alexander.
I agree completely. Cedric Alexander is a hard bridge to cross, and there's no shame in not being able.
Only makes sense why Sugar be invited back this year for Super Indy 15. Another shot at it, but another tough draw, and not the original draw that Sugar's been preparing for. He's had less than a week to prepare for this opponent, who is also a recent major tournament winner. Gresham won CZW's Best of the Best 2016 back in the month of April. And anybody that knows anything about combat zone wrestling knows you got to be tough, you got to be ruthless, and you got to have a lot in your tank to outlast that kind of a field. Again, you want to talk about top independent tournaments between Super Indy, between JLIT, the JT Lightning Invitational, between the best of the best. I mean, you're covering arguably the top three. You can throw in certainly the Battle of Los Angeles, the Super 8, which many Super Indy competitors past and present have been in. And it's an all-star field everywhere way you slice it.
Yeah, very true. And we have, and as you pointed out, we have two of the people who have won those in the tournament. We've had several people who have already been in the, we've had Gori and we've had Andrew Palace who've been in Super Indy. It is
Sugar, one of only 3 men in this field this year who's been in Super Indy before. Of course, the other two, as you mentioned, Gori and Palace. Gresham, an alternate entrant to replace the bad boy Joey Janela, who had to relinquish his spot when he was thrown off the top of a building. Into, well, what wasn't he thrown into? Let's be honest. Fire, barbed wire, what wasn't in there? Glass?
I should point out that not thrown into a ring. It was the back of a truck, wasn't it? Yeah.
Janela suffering tendon damage. He had to receive surgery earlier this week. He is, I'm not sure if he's ever resting because he actually appeared at the show in New Jersey last night, non-physically, but he's convalescent.
Yes. And we wish him the best and hope he heals quickly.
And I'd say I was looking forward to seeing the bad boy in Super Indy because of the controversial, polarizing nature he brings. He's not just athletic, but he's controversial. And I'd love to see him perhaps challenge the winner of this tournament when he's out there.
No, that's a matter for the future. Right now, we might be looking at one of the people who will hold the title. This might be his challenge.
Sugar Dunkerton has really changed his lifestyle and his wrestling style since I first saw him in the latter part of the 2000s decade. Usually in the past he was much more loud, colorful, vibrant, and put a premium, as the shoulders are trapped, on entertainment, on laughs, and on having a good time. He still loves to do those things, but a lot more dedication to the gym, a lot more dedication to diet, and a lot more serious approach has led to Sugar Dunkerton kind of turning the corner in his career, and not just is he a mind game, he's now also a threat.
I was going to say... I didn't quite hear what that comment was, but it stopped the match.
And again, talk about tournament history. Sugar has competed in the Chikara Young Lions Cup. King of Trios, the Great Southern Eight, the Force One Tour de Force, the Smoky Mountain Cup, the Ted Petty Invitational, the JT Lightning Invitational, and now his second bid in Super Indy. This man has tournament experience, and then some.
Very, very true. Oh. And a dip. Not to be confused with a dab.
I think he was in a ballroom dancing tournament as well, but that part's not in my notes.
He came in fourth on that.
I don't believe Gresham was an alternate that night, though. Hard knife edges. Gresham, an 11-year pro, 8 of those years he spent traveling the world. An homage to Jeff Jarrett, or maybe Jackie Fargo.
Might have been Jackie Fargo.
Jeff Jarrett and Jackie Fargo, total Super Indies they've appeared in, 0.
Combined.
Yeah. And now it's a gut check. It's who can hit who hardest. What motivates a competitor to do this? Is it pride? Is it getting in the opponent's head?
I would say probably a little of column A, a little of column B. Hey, have you ever been out? Oh! He hit the elevator button for the basement, so to speak.
Pace quicken, Super attempts to adjust, but can't. Out of the corner, Gresham docks, sunset flip Dunkerton. Gresham attempts the drop kick, and it's Dunkerton with an open hand palm strike to the glutes. Yes, I'm keeping this above ground.
And a running chop that took Gresham off his feet.
Oklahoma roll to no. Gresham's hit a bit of a career resurgence or career elevation in recent times. We've seen him on national television for Ring of Honor, recently contested for the Ring of Honor television title, and Gresham's surprised some people in Ring of Honor with some upset victories.
And we'll see if he can make it back to Ring of Honor, being that Sugar Dunkerton is just laying into those legs. Oh, there we go.
Gresham in the 2012 Tenkaichi tournament. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. That's 0-1 in Japan. In addition, of course, to the best of the best. And here tonight,
a nice submission.
Really cinching back. And that's where Gresham really employs his best offense. This is called the octopus stretch. Oh. And he may have broken a finger or two of Dunkerton as well. But it's called the octopus stretch. And it's why Gresham calls himself the best technical wrestler in the world.
And even if he didn't break a finger, he may have dislocated, he may have torn some tendons with that.
And that's where Gresham's in his wheel. If you neutralize that arm, you take away that advantage. So much of your opponent's offense is taken away. Strikes, power moves. He leaves himself vulnerable because he's focused on the damage of the arm. And there you see, he couldn't strike. He could not hit Gresham because of the damage done to the arm.
Nothing behind it.
Second time, no. And Gresham, grinning ear to ear, and then connects with a drop kick, feeling good about himself.
Oh, and a good chop.
Connects in the corner, but Gresham follows in suit. Sugar out of the way. Able to duck and dodge. Great defensive wrestling and a hard takedown.
Oh.
High knee as well. Could this do it? No.
Sugar realized he had to abandon chops and finally got some other strikes in there.
Yeah, well, I think that goes back to that defensive approach. He can't fight back. He's just got to duck and dodge out of the way.
Oh.
Gresham connects. Second time. And Gresham with an impactful drop kick from an elevated stance. Gresham, no stranger to titles, 5-time junior heavyweight champion in Japan. Could Super Indy Gold be far behind?
Due to the sternum, a good shot to the chest with that elbow, that forearm. Oh!
And Gresham, look at this adjustment, puts on the brakes, changes directions, and caught Dunkerton coming through. The moonsault was beautiful. How many people do you know that can change directions that suddenly and still pull off a high-impact move that flawlessly?
Yeah, honestly, I can think of, like, outside of me, 2 or 3 people.
Cross body, hook of the leg. Wow, near fall. Wouldn't have been any shame if that would have fallen Sugar Dunkerton.
None at all. Dunkerton first to his feet, trying to clear the cobwebs.
And Gresham measures Dunkerton, but did he take too long?
Is that a headbutt?
Well, modified takeover there. I believe Gresham was able to connect with a knee. The momentum carried Dunkerton over. Both men now jockeying for position center ring. Dunkerton.
Half Nelson.
Could he be going suplex? Could he be going submission?
Oh, no, he's looking to get the full on.
Can he get the fingers locked?
10 minutes gone by. 10 minutes gone by.
Shades of Hercules and Billy Jack Haynes here at Super Indy. High angle back suplex. Billy Jack Haynes reference at Super Indy and Jackie Fargo.
Yeah. Two of the men who laid the foundation for Super Indy.
We'll go with that. Elbow, nobody there. And Gresham, out of the way. Notice Gresham keeps himself under the bottom rope, a sanctuary for him.
Staying out of the way. Oh.
Now it's Gresham on the wrong side of the concrete floor, and now Dunkerton collide.
Dunkerton hitting that almost as a shoulder block coming out.
And now it's Gresham that's dazed. Dunkerton has been waiting a year.
Come on, Xavier.
Hopefully you don't have a minute. I thought they were going to go back to China. Okay.
Dropped on his head, out on his feet, and Dunkerton follows through.
Big knee to the head.
And again, this is not offense the Dunkerton of, say, 2012 that I met once upon a time would have been able to pull off. He's transformed his body, he's transformed his mind, and certainly that competitive spirit burns brighter than ever. Down in the head for 2.
I don't know how Xavier kicked out on that. I mean, I know that Sugar is having a little problem like hooking any type of hold because of that hand. He may have not had the strength to hold him down for the full 3.
Look at this, Gresham. Cross-face chicken wing attempt.
Does he have can he get it locked in?
From the full Nelson to the Bob Backlund pet move, we're taking a trip through submission specialists.
Oh, now spreading that injured hand out.
And that created the opening, and another modified octopus hold.
And look at him.
There's that octopus stretch, got it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of this contest is back into the semifinal round of Super Indy 15.
Gresham wins with the octopus stretch, crimping the neck over top of your opponent and pulling back on that arm the opposite way it was meant to go. There really was no way for Dunkerton to go to get out.
About the only thing he could have done was try to fall to the ropes, but I think that Gresham had the distance that he would have been able to still hold on to it, and frankly, would have been He would have risked falling onto that exposed shoulder that was pushed back.
But can Gresham go the distance? He moves on in Super Indy 15. The most anticipated first round matchup. Since they came on the scene late last year, have felt that the Super Indy title was a formality, a matter of time before all of IWC's riches come Chris LeRusso's way. Along the way, LeRusso's made life miserable for the incumbent Super Indy champion, which really hit new heights or new lows. Last month when LeRusso threatened Palace with rubbing alcohol, isopropyl alcohol in the eyes, unless he was gifted, not earned, gifted, a shot in Super Indy. Plummer acquiesced, LeRusso did it anyway. And Andrew Palace is not wasting any time.
If you thought this was going to be a technical match, you obviously haven't been paying attention. Andrew Palace is furious over what happened the last time these two were in a ring together.
But my question is, what is the condition of Andrew Palace? Mentally and physically, is the eye 100%? You know, we know the arm is a hellacious clothesline.
I have no idea where his what condition his eye is in. I didn't get to talk to him before. It's good enough that apparently he found the ring and he knows where to plant those chops, Joe.
Yeah, well. LeRusso found an opening and went to the eye. Palace is trying to shrug everything off as best he can. LeRusso dug for the eye. I don't think he found it. Palace was ready.
That's tough to find in all that hair.
And LeRusso to the outside.
Smart move by, I was gonna say smart move by LeRusso, but Palace had an answer for that.
Have you ever seen an incumbent defending Super Indy champion coming into the tournament so gung-ho to kick some butt?
I don't know that he even cares about the tournament at this point.
Well, he better. This is the most physically grueling match and environment of the year.
Just grabbing him by the head and tossing him over that barricade. We've covered this before, but the black that you see on the floor there is not padding. It's a thin rubber mat. They're not even really a mat.
It's a covering to protect the floor.
Yeah.
Not the athletes. And LeRusso, they want the 82nd Airborne as BC Steel, come on. Get him out of here. BC Steel gets involved and BC Steel take it out.
BC Steel earning his paycheck tonight.
Oh, look at the dent in that chair. Palace's body breaking and denting the steel.
Just hip tossed right through that steel chair. And that has that mouth breather up and applauding.
And that has effectively stunted the momentum of Andrew Palace. And LeRusso goes to work. That was the opening LeRusso needed.
Well, if a poke to the eye doesn't work, if dumping isopropyl alcohol doesn't keep him out of the tournament, then throw him through a piece of metal. Do what needs done.
And now you're seeing the incensed nature of Chris LeRusso.
When you consider yourself the heir apparent, you believe you deserve the next step. And if someone's keeping you from that, well, you see the lengths he is willing to go to make himself that heir apparent.
And I'm not sure there's been a better leg drop in all of Super Indy history than what we just saw from Chris LeRusso. LeRusso gets insane elevation and all the more impact as Palace. And Palace is covering his head, maybe the eye. I hope the elbow of LeRusso didn't catch Palace in the eye. Look at this.
Draping him up into that bottom rope.
LeRusso has said that he's the rightful next Super Indy champion. What a way to make that statement than to pin the Super Indy champion and be the reason that Palace doesn't move on, and again digging into the eye.
There, he got a good grip.
5 minutes gone by. 5 minutes.
And again, the damage done, that's not an injury that heals overnight. You'd think even something as simple as these ring lights would make the eye sensitive to Andrew Palace.
Well, once you take a thumb to the eye, it's not even the lighting. It's that the membrane around the eye swells. You're constantly tearing, which in and of itself makes it difficult to focus. And it's a reoccurring pain. It just stays there bugging you. You can't just shrug it off.
Palace hits the buckle hard. Charging through with the elbow. Palace is in a big-time trouble right now. And contrast this from how this matchup started. Andrew Palace straight out of the chute, no ring introduction. Compare that to the pace now. It is Chris LeRusso controlling everything.
Chris LeRusso knew he wasn't going to win a match keeping that pace with Palace, so he slowed it down. It's smart wrestling. I may disagree with what he did with the isopropyl alcohol, but I can't deny his game plan here. Good knee to the ribs.
LeRusso, so great with his feet. Martial arts background as well. A student of the game. If it's a wrestling seminar, if it's a martial arts dojo, LeRusso's been there. He's studied it, and he's come back more dangerous. 2 count.
The term heir apparent is not completely unfounded. I mean,
this is Palace's 3rd Super Indy, LeRusso's 1st. But LeRusso's been studying these tournaments for many years, make no mistake about it, picking his moment.
Yeah, you have to believe with Benjamin C. Steele in his corner. He had a comp DVD of all of Palace's matches to study.
Look at this, Jayworth. On the apron, Palace elevated the backdrop, and Palace hits his back off the edge of that ring frame.
And he is just writhing in pain down on the floor.
And if Palace is counted out, LeRusso advances. That's good. That works.
Definitely works for LeRusso.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. Palace will object. You mentioned BC Steele a moment ago. I was about to say that BC Steele was actually a referee in Super Indy 1. He knows the prestige from day one. And Palace back in. Palace in the nick of time. I'm not sure how he did. And LeRusso spitting water into the eyes. Once again, calculated. X-Buster by LeRusso into the cover. Has it? No.
No.
And Palace was, I think, closer to being counted out in that exchange on the outside than a lot of these fans realize.
Yeah, it was a mad scramble to get under that rope.
And it's not just get my bearings about me and be ready to fight, but also if that vision is impaired, it's find the ring. It's get under the bottom rope safely. These are things we take for granted, but Palace may not be able to right now. LeRusso elevated.
Oh.
Palace caught the foot. Down with the snake eyes. Maybe a bit poetic. and a catapult. LeRusso finds himself in trouble, puts the brakes on.
Kick right to the throat.
Yeah. Oh, Palace caught LeRusso. German suplex nicely done. That was no bridge, all impact.
Not looking for a pin, just looking to dump him. Oh, 2 elbows right to the mush. And you can see LeRusso trying to get some hands up, trying to defend, but Palace is just throwing those shots right through.
Oh! Palace went for a neck breaker across the knee. Did he get enough? I'm not sure. No!
10 minutes gone by. 10 minutes.
I don't think Palace had the weight positioning that he wanted, that he needed to get all of that move, but he got about 90% of it.
Yeah, he got enough that he went for the cover, just not enough to get the win.
LeRusso face first. Roll up.
Oh! I think I may have just caught one of Chris LeRusso's teeth up here.
Hernia driver coming up. This will do it. LeRusso knows it. Drop toe hold ankle lock. Will Palace tap away the Super Indy title?
Oh, Palace turns it over. Kicks LeRusso out. Oh! Jawbreaker style. Oh!
And there's a headlock driver. That's one of LeRusso's specialties. LeRusso's moving on. No! LeRusso in shock. BC Steel incredulous. But we continue.
I need to point out, Palace not moving, just laying there. He may have used all the energy he had left in the tank to kick out of that.
Inarguably, this matchup has taken more of a physical toll on both these athletes than any other first-round match we've seen. LeRusso may be getting desperate. After his pet maneuver didn't work, Palace meets him. What BC Steel on the apron as LeRusso in the most precarious of positions. BC Steel pulling the leg, come on. And LeRusso, oh God!
Beautiful powerbomb by LeRusso.
Palace lands so hard on his back and his neck. Frog splash! That's gonna do it now! And again LeRusso in shock.
Palace struggling to get to a rope to pull himself up.
And LeRusso. Look at this. Palace caught the foot, the back suplex connected.
Oh! Cradle DDT.
Hernia driver! Got him! That what? LeRusso kicked out of the hernia driver.
He held on.
A second hernia driver. Oh, Palace was ready.
Here's your winner and free kick to the semi-final to face Jonathan Gresham.
Chalk that up to the wherewithal of Andrew Palace to keep hold of the top part of the hernia driver. As LeRusso stood up, he just hooked it and dropped him again.
Palace knew he was in for the fight of his life. He knew all too well how dangerous Chris LeRusso could be. But Jayworth, with neither man moving, my question is, moving on to round two, and the ever-dangerous Jonathan Gresham. What does Andrew Palace have left? Because he has not moved since the bell rang.
Well, now's the time when you do that gut check. He has some time. We're about to go to an intermission, so he'll get a chance to catch his breath, maybe throw some cold water on that eye, see how much he has left in that tank.
Palace gave it all he had, but does he have just a little bit left? We'll certainly find out in the semifinal round.
Looks like the
assuming Palace can make it.
Yeah. He hasn't even sat up yet. LeRusso being helped to the back as the heir apparent needs to, I guess, start back at square one again.
Owner Justin Plummer out here. Give all the credit in the world to Andrew Palace for the effort tonight to defend his championship. Palace victorious, but what's left with potentially 2 more rounds looming? Second round, Super Indy 15. A heartbeat away. The most important night of his life. Thus far, he's performed admirably under adverse circumstances. Another wrench in the plans potentially forthcoming in the form of a walking weapon. But Darren Dinero thus far, one of the odds-on favorite if you ask the Elizabeth faithful.
And, it's hard to argue that. Look at him. He looks well rested.
With 81 wrestler skills, he is the man with the golden hits, the Tinder Torrent, and Elizabeth A1. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Double D, Darren.
And you can feel the weight of the world on him as he processes the moment he's in. A moment he used to look up at with stars in his eyes, but now he looks to become the preeminent star in IWC wrestling.
It's great to have goals. The problem is keeping you from your goals right now is a walking weapon.
You talk about coming back from adversity. Not just Desmond Xavier, but a couple of broken necks, retirement. A man that went from a can't-miss prospect out of north of the border into obscurity and back in the spotlight again, all in the span of under 18 months.
I want to point out the difference between Darin Dinero and Josh Alexander in the ring. Darin Dinero, still looking at the crowd, still posing, still smiling. Josh Alexander walks out serious as a heart attack. Completely focused. He's in there to it looks like he just wants to run right through Darin Dinero.
Is this a case of maybe Darren not understanding the arduous road he's in for, or does that speak to the overwhelming focus of Alexander?
I think it might be a little bit of both. I mean, not to play both sides of this fence, but Darin Dinero, this is his first time in the tournament. I don't know that, and once he gets past the first round, that ego can take over. Oh, well, I did that. Let's move on.
Well,
versus Alexander, who just picked him up and threw him into one corner and now into the opposite.
Well, certainly I'm not trying to insinuate that Dinero is looking ahead or taking a night off. That's far from it.
Whoa.
We saw Dinero beat Gori in the first round, who's been in more Super Indies than anybody in history. Dinero's family and friends are here. He's dreamed of this moment for 10 years. This could be the culmination of a dream. Or could Alexander shatter it?
That could be it.
Explosive offense from Alexander finds 2. I think both these men in the eyes of the fans, had a great showing in the opening round. Hard to dictate who they would rather see win.
Yeah, very true. I mean, I think Darren Dinero has a few more fans, this being a bit more hometown for him. But Alexander certainly made his name abroad and proven why he made that name with that first round match.
Alexander controls Darren. Has that knee between the shoulder blades, stretching back on the arms. Alexander's competed in pretty much every major organization you can think of. Whoa. Back suplex. The first time, Jay Worth, I saw Josh Alexander in person was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in a Ring of Honor event, one-on-one with the unbreakable Michael Elgin. And it was one of the most physical, hellacious matches I have ever seen in person, I have ever called. And Alexander left that night with a standing ovation, with Elgin's respect, and the realization that we had just witnessed. Alexander survived that which you thought you could not survive. Certainly, in this environment, the physical makeup is different, but the odds are just as long.
Yeah, very, very true. Those knees right to the forehead, almost I'm not sure if he's hitting nose or in the forehead of Darren Dinero.
Might mess up that Tinder profile.
Oh. And when wrestling doesn't work, just throw that right hook.
And I'll give credit to Darren Dinero. He has certainly has a bit of a swagger about him. He's still smiling. He's still happy to be here. He's still got a wholesomeness about him to an extent, as you see the amazing quad strength of Josh Alexander. We've seen a lot less posturing out of Darren Dinero tonight than in events past.
Yeah, true. I mean, he definitely is more focused. I think he can pull it out. He's my pick for this. I just don't want to see him lose focus and have someone like Walking Weapon go right through him.
Well, I mean, and I would feed you this question, but I don't think it's fair for us as not in-ring competitors to just speculate on the whirlwind of emotions and the whirlwind of thoughts that must be overwhelming your mind in the heat of the moment on the biggest night of your life that you've thought about for a decade. It's tough to process that. It's tough to understand that, but Darren's mind must be moving in a million different directions.
And part of what he needs to learn is that all of that was the past. What he needs to worry about right now is the rather large gentleman throwing him around that ring. How he feels about it, what it means, what his hopes and aspirations are all irrelevant to the fact that he's getting tossed about like a sack of potatoes.
Series of gut wrenches by Alexander, and I have never seen anyone maneuver, perhaps even manhandle Dinero the way I just saw Alexander do it.
Yeah, I mean, talk about earning the name Walking Weapon. He knows how to just almost surgically dissect.
And while Dinero's mind may be moving in many directions, Alexander seems calm and cool, like another day at the office, even though you know it's not. Keep in mind, winning the JT Lightning Invitational, which had much more entrants and volume, I'd say equal in competitive nature, or certainly very close and worth comparison. Alexander, as Dinero battles free, Dinero deposited on the outside, hits the guardrail.
And Alexander going to catch him, get him back in the ring.
Oh, not before that. Dinero fires back.
I want to point out that Alexander takes that moment of, I don't know that I'd say reflection, but just a moment of focus before he throws that chop. And you hear how solid it hits on Darren Dinero's pecs.
The aggression, the intensity that Dinero is firing back with, however. Meeting. Oh, God!
That's it.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, we saw this last round.
Dinero just got spiked. His body was almost in free fall and then came to just a sudden abrupt halt on that ring frame.
The back of those shoulders just right down onto the ring frame and then splashed from behind and awkwardly to the floor.
That'll do it. That'll do it. Alexander wins. No! I give Darren all the credit in the world for kicking out of that, but what sort of damage was done?
Well, that's a very good question.
Keep in mind, Alexander, a history of neck injuries. He knows all about the intricacies and vulnerabilities of the human neck. Can he pick it apart with the same precision that his surgeons once did to him? Dinero may find out the hard way. Dinero trying to create some distance, but a lot less behind those shots compared to a moment ago on the outside.
Bell clap, spin out.
Duck underneath. Darin comes back with one. And this is amazing recuperative power from Darren Dinero. The clothesline. He's got him here, no.
And Dinero now channeling some of that, those childhood dreams and realizing all that preparation has to pay off here. He's digging down deep. Oh.
Alexander usually has the advantage in a striking game, but not so this time. Dinero, got the kick.
Good thrust kick.
He's got him. No.
Alexander, Dinero, both Dinero the first to his feet. I'm impressed.
And again, you look and see fatigue start to set in here deep in the second round for these men. Dinero tries to elevate Alexander, catches him, roll through, ankle trap. Will Dinero tap out?
Look at the angle he has on that ankle lock.
And Dinero trying to push off, break that grasp. But as you mentioned, all the leverage in Alexander's favor. Clothesline, Darin up and over. Takedown into the arm breaker. Will Alexander tap?
He has it cinched. Alexander can't reach the ropes. He didn't quite have the angle.
Oh, look at that. That deadlift, that amazing upper body power. Alexander carries him over. And how can you not respect that tenacity?
Nice throw by Alexander.
And again, a stalemate. Do you give the advantage any one direction the deeper this match goes?
You know, honestly, as much as I hate to contradict myself, I have to give it a little more to Alexander the longer it goes on. He has a little more experience. He knows what something like this is like. Recent winner.
Oh. Alexander pushes off. Oh, set up powerbomb. Nicely done. Could have it here, no. The kickouts.
10 minutes go by, 10 minutes go by.
Less and less luster, but the fight continues as Alexander goes back to the ankle.
Good ankle pick, caught that. Switch to the other ankle, the one he had been working on.
Darren keeping his body elevated, bridging up. That alleviates some of the pressure, but certainly not a lot. As Darren able to roll through, Alexander catches himself. What damage was done?
It gives him the angle to try and turn that around and get out of it.
Dinero couldn't get a full head of steam because of the ankle. Alexander met him. Darren comes back. And Darren elevates himself. Good grief!
Beautiful tope.
The same kind of sacrifice he's watched his heroes of yesteryear do for years in Super Indies prior. Darren Dinero. Time to dig deep. Huge clothesline. Alexander. Cover. No.
Good, solid clothesline. Got some arc on that and just torqued his body around. And now we have to see Darren Dinero again having to dig into those reserves, tap into something other than his training.
It's that heart, it's that desire that has separated the champions from the contenders for a decade and a half. Rocked him in the corner to Dinero.
Good forearm.
And his steam. But how much steam can he get with a damaged leg? He's getting good impact.
But he's not getting full impact. Oh.
And that may be why it's taken 4. And Alexander adjusts. The Finley roll.
And you see Alexander checking the jaw. That headgear doesn't provide any jaw protection.
Not at all. Alexander elevates Dinero. And look, now Alexander had an easier time with Desmond than he is with Dinero, but Alexander undeterred. Look at this! Dinero tried to slip in underneath the back door. Oh, no. No. Sunset driver! God! And Alexander comes down with some velocity. He connects with his own knee and does damage.
He has to cover him. Ignore the pain in your knee. This is it. He's got the body weight over. No!
What? Darren Dinero finds something. I don't know where. I don't know how. But onward we press. The dream is alive.
I assumed that once again my choice was wrong and that Alexander was walking to the next round. I applaud Darren Dinero for pulling himself up off the mat off of this. Alexander just laying in those shots.
And Dinero comes back. We've talked about the coming of age of Dinero. We're seeing it before our eyes right now.
And now at this point, you've sort of run out of ideas and you're just throwing shots.
Right in the face with the protective guard. Dinero finds something deep down. Oh, what a shot.
Spin out. Another to the jaw. Dinero counters with that kick.
Who's going to budge?
Oh!
Greetings from Elizabeth. Final payment. He's got him.
No.
Alexander rolls through. Oh, Dinero. Dinero hesitated just a second.
Ladies and gentlemen, a world of contest is entering the Super Indy Tournament final. Just
Perhaps it was a struggle to leverage the weight of Alexander. Perhaps it was the toll the match had taken. Perhaps it was just an extra half second to soak in the moment he dreamed about for a lifetime. Either way, Darren Dinero, just a half stutter step at most, was all Alexander needed to capitalize, roll through, trap the shoulders, and out-wrestle and earn every little bit of this matchup with Darren Dinero.
You only get so many chances to kick out. And then Darren Dinero just ran out. That roll through, I don't know, I thought Dinero was taking the whole thing. My hat's off to Alexander. The walking weapon beat one hell of a competitor tonight.
And you have to feel for Darren Dinero, a man who thought, who hoped, who dreamt tonight was his night. He fought with everything he had. I think you'd agree he fought harder than perhaps we've ever seen, perhaps harder than we thought we'd see.
He found out tonight what it takes to be in Super Indy.
And you know what? He proved he belongs.
Something tells me this isn't going to be his last chance to get toward that Super Indy title.
It may not have been the fairy tale ending, but everybody leaves this building respecting Darren Dinero. Dinero, the dream will have to come at another time. Josh Alexander comes into IWC and finds himself in the Super Indy 15 finals after a Herculean effort. I'm already emotionally spent, Jay Worth. We're not done, not by a long shot.
Yeah, we still got a few matches ahead of us, Joe.
From the trials and tribulations of a major one-on-one gut check comes the incumbent and one of the last-minute entries. And similarly, I wonder what condition both will enter in. And Gresham, talk about the impressive victory, Jay Worth. Gresham overcoming Sugar Dunkerton, and Dunkerton came to play. He came to go all the way, but Gresham just had his number.
Well, we wanted to know what condition Andrew Palace was going to be in. We're about to find out.
This is not the frenetic, frantic, spasmanian devil that we're used to seeing. A much more reserved, nearly walking Andrew Palace. Clearly, whether he wants us to see it or not, the toll has been taken.
I was going to say, you can see the grimace on his face, the way he's reaching for his back, the way he's walking gingerly.
And Andrew Palace may be the most polarizing athlete in IWC.
Ah, what made you think that?
Some people love him like no other. Some don't quite understand. But you have to respect the way Palace has carried the banner of Super Indy over the past couple of years.
He has worked his way up from a member of the STDs to a standalone man that's been defending that title. I have nothing but respect for him.
When we first saw Palace, he was the rear end of a Chinese dragon costume. There's not many lower lows you can experience before such high highs he's encountered.
Yeah, I can't imagine there's a lot of wrestlers who said, well, I wanted to get into this so it could be a dragon butt.
Great pace, early going. Gresham excels in technical wrestling. What's Palace's strength?
Pure frenetic energy, which admittedly right now he has a bit of an issue, considering that it looks like some of it has been taken out of him.
And certainly, I'm sure Chris LeRusso will be quick to take credit for that damage done.
Well, he should. He was the one who did the damage.
LeRusso's Super Indy bid is done. How will Palace fare as the pace quickens? It's Gresham. Hip lock attempt. Palace down with the arm drag that time. Again, Palace, much like Sugar, has size on Gresham, but Gresham's really never let that enter his mind in any of his battles.
I was going to say, that's the kind of thing that he couldn't. If you start thinking this guy is too big for me to beat, then you shouldn't take the match.
And Palace trying to quicken that pace. We're seeing Palace break out the hits. But again, something is a tad off, and it goes back to that opening round. And again, let's talk about the vision. Is Palace's vision 2020?
Not sure.
You need, certainly, not just standard vision, you need your peripherals as well. In a matchup like this with someone that moves as quickly as Gresham.
Yeah, he's not going to stay in front of you long. Oh,
and there you go, from the side, the Hurricane Rana takedown, drop kick on the butt of the jaw. Beautifully done. And Gresham's a guy who can pull off almost the unfathomable, but make it look easy.
Well, it's still an issue. It's not even now an issue of vision. It's how much is the eye bugging you? Has everything swelled up? Is it tearing up? Is it a distraction from the match you're trying to have?
Palace puts the brakes on, death grip on that top rope. Oh. And certainly when vision's an issue, you don't want to be propelled across the ring in a way that you can't control.
Oh, man.
You can hear that flesh on steel.
Oh, and over, under, rolls him through.
Over, under, around, and through. Gresham comes out with the advantage. Oh, God. He caught him in the arm. And again, keep in mind that octopus hold that submitted Dunkerton, that octopus stretch.
It looked like Palace was trying to get the arm up to protect his head. And Gresham just aimed right at the arm. And now taking advantage.
May be all that was needed.
And now he's got that palm bent back. The arm almost in a Kimura.
Keep in mind, we're still not sure if Sugar Dunkerton may have had a couple of fingers broken.
Well, and now here, Palace in the same predicament. Gresham deciding that if that's what the fans want, it's not his job to deliver it.
Not at all. His job, in his mind, is to win, without question.
Now a couple of forearms to the head.
And Palace favored
the arm
heavily.
I was going to say, the arm not working on that whip. Has him up in a torture rack.
Oh, nicely done.
Down into a neck breaker.
Got him, no. Near fall situation.
Didn't really have any weight over him. Just sort of tried to hope that neck breaker would take the energy out of him. Didn't quite work.
Palace went for the hernia driver there.
And now just pounding on the back of his neck. That arm, though.
This has been great counter wrestling.
Yeah.
Palace needs the arm to utilize the hernia driver, but doesn't want to give it up for Gresham to use with the octopus stretch.
True. O'Connor roll. No, rolls through.
Lands on his feet. Pat O'Connor, also 0 Super Indies.
Very true.
Palace sends Gresham for the ride. Oh, huge spine buster.
Big spine buster.
And that was almost Anderson-esque.
I was going to go pine buster. Oh! Just stomped his head into the mat. Good night, Irene.
Got him! No. Palace, arm injury, vision impaired, pulling out whatever he can, and you can almost feel the toll this tournament's taken on Palace so far.
Yeah, you can tell. He is struggling right now.
Gresham to his feet, undeterred.
Oh.
Again, a week ago, Gresham was not part of this field. Months ago, Palace won the Super Indy Championship and has reigned strong ever since.
Oh! Good backhand.
There's the O'Connor roll. This time, no. Hancock, German suplex again. Shoulders down. Got him, though. And Palace.
Oh!
Shotgun drop kick. Gresham vaulted into the corner. Second time, DDT spiked him. Got him! No!
You could see the eyes of Gresham after that drop kick hit, and he bounced off that middle turnbuckle. You could tell he wasn't quite all there. Palace with a great combination, but he just couldn't hold him down for the full 3.
And this crowd coming alive for Andrew Palace, and certainly not detraction to Gresham as well. Oh, look at this.
Wow.
One felt motion. He pivots. He leaves the ring. He elevates with a moonsault. And now Palace is prone and Gresham is high atop. 450. Traps the bad arm, but the good one gets the shoulder up. And right into a Kimura. They're near the ropes, but Gresham has his body between Palace and the ropes.
He doesn't quite have the angle on it.
And again, what does that body have left in it?
Palace forces this up to his feet. Takes a little pressure off that arm. Oh, look at this!
Hurry, driver! Where did he pull that from? Got it! No! My God, Andrew Palace personifying what it means.
10 minutes gone by.
What it means to be part of the Super Indy spirit, part of the Super Indy lifestyle. That ideology. You push your body till it can't go.
Well, you can tell Palace he's gone through most of the reserves. There's not a lot left.
Gresham's moving quicker, but you can't measure Palace's heart.
Oh, back to the arm.
Palace left just a half second of an opening. Gresham trying to use the weakened arm to trap Palace, not working it thus at this juncture. Drives him down again, the armbar takedown. Pending combination arm trap, no.
Into a crossface.
Palace is trapped. Palace's foot is under the rope, at least for a moment. The official did not detect it. The match presses on.
I'm not sure even Palace was aware of that.
No, he wasn't. Neither was the official. Palace. A bad break for a moment. But that won't rent space in his head, as I don't think he was aware. Speaking of heads now, it's Gresham planting his between the shoulder blades of Palace, trying to get the advantage.
And, oh!
Octopus, the octopus stretch. Can he get the arm fully extended? If he can, there's no way for Palace to go. We saw Dunkerton have no choice but to tap.
He's got it. And now just punching him in the face.
Palace low to the ground, trying to keep himself.
There's no way he can defend. It's over. It's over.
Ref stop this punching. The fight of Andrew Palace will go down in Super Indy lore as one of the best examples of perseverance and guts that we've seen, champion or otherwise. Palace was not the first one to have his body give out on him in Super Indy. He won't be the last. With all that he came in dealing with, he may have been the most courageous.
Gresham did what it took to win. Trapped those arms away from his head. Didn't give Palace any chance to defend. And then just rained blows down until he had to call the match.
And Jayworth, we are guaranteed a new Super Indy champion in this broadcast. But again, you've got to give it up to Andrew Palace. again, a polarizing nature in this crowd. Some people may be having fun that that was not the outcome they expected.
No.
And that Gresham has come on the scene and earned a lot of respect.
And look at this.
And on the rampway, Benjamin C. Steele, a standing ovation, a reminder that this started, the precipice, was Chris LeRusso and the damage done to the eye.
Benjamin C. Steele celebrating that the man that took his man out of the tournament goes no further.
And even though Palace knocked LeRusso out of the tournament, maybe it was Chris LeRusso that got the last word tonight at Super Indy 15.
Kind of feels like it.
McChesney left the building a month ago, irate at himself and the circumstances. John McChesney found himself contesting for the IWC Tag Team titles at Reloaded thanks to the infamous reset button. And even more infamous was his tag team partner, IWC's preeminent female athlete, Britt Baker, who had already wrestled earlier in the night. John comes back after...
There you are. That's one of IWC's best fans of all time. He has been at many of these Super Indies. He was even at Super Indy 4 that yours truly won.
Is he the mystery partner?
Could be.
Not only that, I've also been the IWC World Heavyweight Champion. But I have never been the IWC Tag Team Champion. And I want to win the Triple Crown of IWC. He'll be here with Shima later, don't you worry. Now, unfortunately, there's a lot of traffic down in downtown Pittsburgh, and my partner is still on his way.
What? Partner's not here.
He's not here at the moment, but he's on his way.
Well, we can guess who that is.
Reigning tag team champion Fraternity.
Most sympathetic, John, I could not beat. But these folks, they didn't come to see Little League John McChesney. Shut up! These folks came to see the IWC Tag Team Champions, baby. You know our names. My name, Kenny Decker. My partner, Trent, and we are the Fraternity. And believe me, fat boy, if we had the time, we'd come over there and kick each and every one of your asses. Especially you Andrew Powell folks over here. But I'll tell you what, John, it's your lucky day. Rather than beat up each and every one of these losers, we're going to come and beat the crap out of you. And oh, and guess what? If I might add, you want a rematch? It starts right now.
His partner's not here. Come on.
Well, that's not the fault of the Fraternity.
Fraternity know what they're doing. They're taking advantage of a situation that is out of all of our control. It's a Saturday night. It's a hot summer evening. Traffic is going to be an issue. The partner is not here.
But none of that has anything to do with the Fraternity.
No.
Their match is now. They have an advantage. I don't blame them one bit for doing this.
Well, I mean, is there somebody in the back that could be a surrogate partner? Can we get something? Could the Fraternity have waited till we made a decision about this?
If I were them, I wouldn't have let that happen.
Oh, they're going for the keg stand already. McChesney counters. McChesney having to fight for his life 2-on-1 to become only the second ever Triple Crown champion. And it's Gibson from behind. Oh, that we've seen that drop kick in many Super Indies prior.
Very true.
But keep in mind, it was a month ago, the Fraternity, an uncomfortable assault on Britt Baker. Yes, it was legal, but that doesn't make it any easier to watch. And they took liberties after the matchup, further assaulting Britt when the matchup had already ended. John McChesney blamed himself, felt very guilty, left very enraged, and there you see the manifestation of that rage with that suicide dive. But McChesney swore revenge for the way they treated not just a woman, but McChesney's friend and somebody we've all grown to love here in IWC over the past year, Britt Baker. But who did McChesney find? Did he find anybody?
Well, I mean, would you consider John a liar?
I have not questioned the integrity of McChesney since he's turned over this leaf, but let's face it, McChesney, we talked about polarizing individuals. I think McChesney wrote the book on that here in IWC.
Wrote the book, published it, and then stole it from himself to sell it at a cheaper price.
McChesney's been through a lot of friends and allies here in IWC. Most of them didn't last long before things crumbled. Maybe McChesney couldn't find somebody to trust him. That's an option.
Very true.
I mean, his last real ally, with the exception of Britt Baker, was Jimmy Nuts, and that was a very tenuous relationship. They wanted to kill each other by the end of it as well.
I was going to say, I seem to recall Jimmy Nuts tossing John McChesney off of this balcony we're on.
It's true. Double suplex, and I'll give credit where credit is due. The Fraternity have really come on strong the past several months, near fall. After being outsmarted by Booker T in Meadville several months ago, they've really come back strong, and I think that loss has only helped them regain and certainly have renewed focus and aggression.
Yep, yeah, I would say that's a fair statement. You can tell they've been a way more aggressive. I mean, look at what happened with Britt Baker.
Of course, Remy LeVay and Keith Hott, the champions for a couple of weeks. You got to believe they're watching this matchup, hoping for an opportunity.
I don't know if Remy's watching or not. He was beaten pretty badly by Marshall the Bull Gambino in the pre-show match.
Yeah, and that's, again, Marshall the Bull's jealousy over the fact that Remy and Keith Hott, as you hear fraternity as eternity, Remy and Keith Hott stole all the headlines. The Gambinos became the greatest tag team in IWC history at our 15th anniversary. And a couple of weeks later, everybody was talking about the young upstarts with the big upset, Remy and Hott. Marshall still has not gotten over that. And I don't think Remy deserves anything of what Marshall has dished out on him.
Well, I mean, Marshall clearly has a bone to pick with him. And that's how stuff is settled in wrestling. You got a problem. It's get them up because they're going to be swinging.
And that was almost a drop kick reminiscent of McChesney by Channing Decker.
Yeah, it was pretty.
Cover. McChesney, I believe, a 4-time former Super Indy champion. Certainly this event has done McChesney well over the years. Could it be the event he gets the Triple Crown?
Well, at the rate it's going right now, I'm going to go with no. I mean, the Fraternity have a pretty big advantage and are pressing it.
The only man in history, to my recollection, to hold the Triple Crown prior in the course of his career is DJZ.
Who is here tonight.
And is the reigning IWC champion. Reversal. McChesney puts the brakes on.
Gibson takes a boot.
Decker gets involved. Can we have tags here, referee, please?
There was a tag. Decker tagged Gibson's back.
Look at this.
Oh!
Bigley gonna pin both. I love it. Oh, what a statement that would have made.
That would have been an exclamation point on that whole attempt to win the Triple Crown. Or complete the Triple Crown.
Tell you what, if anybody can survive this, it just may be John McChesney. Who could have, oh no. Oh, back of the head of McChesney hit off the canvas, and Fraternity goes to work.
There's their Eiffel Tower move.
What was your first hint?
They went, oh, that's how they started. Oh.
So it was the part that got you.
Yeah, because I knew to look for that.
Okay. And there's the paddle. That Fraternity paddle. Wait a second. Oh, wait a minute. That's Asylum. He must have just arrived here. He must be the partner.
Well, if he wasn't, he certainly is now.
The man too tough for rugby is unleashing hell on both frat members. Good grief.
Big knee.
Oh, what a spear. There's a cover. New champions, though. We haven't seen Asylum in, 4 or 5 months?
Yeah, it's been a while.
I believe Asylum was rehabbing a torn bicep. And listen to this ovation. And the frat was not ready for this, and they're doing whatever they can to grab onto Asylum, but Asylum unleashes.
Combination Samoan drop and just fall away slam.
How do you feel about McChesney and Asylum as a tag team?
Well, outside of their ability to get to the venue on time, I think it's great.
Look at this. Asylum has McChesney. To the floor, Asylum uses his partner as an offensive weapon.
And now McChesney rolling one of them back in.
And now, it's at least 2-on-2 legally.
Oh,
super kick. Here comes that Dr. Bomb. This could do it. Gibson trying to roll to salvation. Nothing doing it. Oh, Decker pulls Gibson.
Good move by Decker. That was going to be 3.
Yeah,
saving the titles, saving his partner.
That Dr. Bomb has put many a man away. And the Fraternity need to regroup on the outside. Well, the Fraternity seem like they're ready for a fight now. Now they know what they're up against. What? Oh, come on.
No.
What a classless way to retain your titles.
But effective.
McChesney and Asylum win via countout, but not the way they wanted it. And I think the Fraternity realized once it was 2-on-2.
Asylum, McChesney, McChesney, and Trent Baker pursue 2 sorority pitches and go find another one.
Challenge has been made. McChesney and Asylum still in pursuit of the tag team championships, and the Fraternity on their heels at the return of the big man Asylum as McChesney continues to chase the Triple Crown. Oh, we're swapping the slobber early, Jayworth.
We are?
Dylan and Ray Lynn are.
Oh, I was going to say, you didn't even buy me dinner.
And could they be celebrating this way with the IWC title in hand? Bostic, such a classless way to make a statement, targeting Jimmy Nuts after Jimmy Nuts had just announced that he had to take time off for reconstructive knee surgery. There was retribution, though. DJZ took offense to that, and as a result of DJZ, Bostic lost to Billy Gunn. Bostic made his presence known at the end of the night, though.
You can say it's classless all you want, but you're still talking about it. It worked. It's effective.
It worked.
Right now we're looking at Bostic versus DJZ.
We are.
For the heavyweight title.
But keep in mind, Bostic, again, opportunistic at the end of that night, came out at the end of a hellacious battle with DJZ and Jimmy DeMarco.
Yep.
Thumbtacks in both men's backs.
Uh-huh.
Bostic had over an hour to rest. But now, DJZ coming to make sure there'll be no back jumping and no precarious means around this title match. DJZ and delicious Jimmy DeMarco. Once upon a time, this visual would have been unfathomable. But the mutual respect, as you see Bostic once again showing no class with those gestures, the mutual respect between DJZ and DeMarco, undeniable. And DeMarco, he's pretty unpredictable, but one thing's for sure, he respects the IWC title. He wants to see this matchup go down the right way like we all do.
And hopefully that with him here, we'll see that.
Crowd definitively behind DJZ. As obnoxious as it may sound sometime, it is support.
I will take your word for it. I just think that the mouth breathers here don't know how to make full formed words. Full formed words is what I said there.
Yes, it was.
Yep.
Quite seamlessly at that.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall and is for the IWC World Heavyweight Championship. Introducing first is the challenger, being accompanied by Ray Lynn, currently on the Platinum World Tour, weighing in at 203 pounds. He is the Justin Bieber of professional wrestling, Dylan Bostic.
And you can hear the applause. Finally, someone gave this crowd some class.
And his opponent, being accompanied by delicious Jimmy DeMarco, from the Isle of Man, weighing in at 182 pounds, he is the IWC World Heavyweight Champion, DJZ.
Well, you want to talk about applause, you talk about an ovation. That's what DJZ receiving now. A man who, much like Gory we talked about earlier, was in his first Super Indy Tournament at age 18. He met a man named Homicide.
Yeah.
It went exactly like it sounds.
It went as well as any story that goes, he met a man named Homicide could go.
But will the championship aspirations of Dylan Bostic die here at Super Indy 15? Bostic has taken every shortcut and unconscionable decision possible to put himself in this position.
Yeah. I admire it.
DJZ has earned it.
I will not argue that one bit. DJZ certainly has earned it.
And to give you an idea of the world travel of DJZ, less than 24 hours from now, DJZ will be in Orlando, Florida, competing in a 4-way X Division title match as part of TNA Impact Wrestling's Slammiversary pay-per-view. No rest whatsoever for the most prolific Filipino in professional wrestling today.
And you can see all 4 people ringside up on the ring apron at the moment. And I think Jimmy DeMarco's trying to getting some kiss action out of
I think DeMarco trying to involve himself in the Bostic Ray Lynn good luck kissing.
I think ideally he'd like it just Ray Lynn, but if he has to work Dylan in to get there, then so be it.
With Jimmy DeMarco, can you really be sure?
He is the Pope of Grope.
DJZ, certainly when it comes to technical wrestling, I think he's got an advantage over Bostic, although Bostic mentored by the great Rip Rogers.
Yeah, I would not argue that at all. The thing is, DJZ, with all of this world travel, has seen so many styles and learned so much in his travels that nothing against Dylan Bostic and Rip Rogers. It's just DJZ has been exposed to so much more.
A year ago, nobody really gave Bostic a snowball's chance. He left winning the Super Indy Tournament and the title. That's history, not prophecy, but this event has done well by Bostic.
Very true.
DJZ, a former Super Indy Tournament winner in his own right. Reversal, pace quickens. Bostic, great job at going hold for hold with DJZ as both men battle for the hip toss. DJZ up underneath, couple arm drags, nicely done. And DJZ's a guy who, even though he's been in the game for 12 years now, always in the dojo, always in the gym, always perfecting his style, especially in recent months, really perfecting his lucha libre game. But DJZ's a guy who can go any style you want, including the cheap shots.
Hey, let's not forget, DJZ knows how to get a win. All those dirty tricks, all those games, he's picked those up too along the way.
Bostic spent much of the pre and early going of this matchup obnoxiously grabbing his groin. Now he's doing so for a different reason.
And now it's more of a protective grab. Oh!
That one's still unanimous. Drop kick, nicely done. And Bostic wanted to go into this matchup, you gotta believe, with momentum. But DJZ's the reason Bostic could not topple Billy Gunn. Oh. Nice back elbow. Bostic was ready to cave Billy Gunn's head in with a chair, send another message, pick on somebody else vulnerable, just like he did to Jimmy Nuts. But DJZ was watching, and one famouser later, and the result was much different.
Did we ever find out whether or not Dylan Bostic and Billy Gunn are related? There was some question as to lineage.
There was some question. I don't think we have the information handy. Perhaps championships are in Bostic's blood and we're not aware.
Possibly.
But
great drop kick.
You got to believe, and we've talked about this before with the Super Indy title, it's not just about success in the ring. Oh, nice maneuver there. To Bostic, it's about status. It's about the bling. It's about walking into the club and all eyes are on you because you've got this championship around your waist worth thousands of dollars. Bostic would rather say he's the champion than prove it or be it.
I would disagree. I think he wants to be it. I just think he wants to be it not because he wants to be champion, but he wants to be it because he wants to wear that belt to the club and have all the eyes on him and get the additional money and live that Platinum World Tour lifestyle.
What is this? Bostic went to charge in. He got deposited. And DJZ in the face of Ray Lynn. Look at this.
Oh!
DJZ launches himself.
Launches himself off of Jimmy DeMarco.
That's great tandem offense, yet still legal. I love it. And DeMarco's more pumped up than anybody. And this is what Bostic will come to know as paying some dues.
Time to learn.
Ray Lynn is frantic. Oh, what?
Whoa.
Bostic pushing Ray Lynn in the way.
Oh.
And again, classless.
But effective.
His own girl got sacrificed.
Hey, for every battle, there is a price to be paid.
The effect was only temporary as DJZ slams Bostic on again this covered but not protected floor. We've seen Bostic in a lot of environments, but none quite like this here in IWC.
Yeah, true. Well, let's be honest. You never know what you're going to get when you throw Jimmy DeMarco into a mix. This could have been a very basic row. Oh!
Raylan has the foot. Where's DeMarco? DeMarco couldn't get over there in time. Bostic sends DJZ and free fall and almost beat him for the title.
5 minutes gone by.
DeMarco there to neutralize Ray Lynn, but she got one over on him that time.
Yeah, you got to be careful. These women. Am I right?
Excuse me. I wasn't turning it into an attack on a gender.
No, I understood what you were saying. They're sneaky.
Well, Ray Lynn specifically is sneaky.
Yeah, she's a woman.
And immoral.
Yeah.
Not because of her gender, but because of maybe the company she keeps. Oh!
You don't need to explain it away to me, Joe.
Great elevation on the dropkick. Apparently, I need to explain it further. The dropkick connects, and Bostic, when you talk about finesse, you talk about fundamentals, you talk about just bare bones. Bostic can measure up with anybody on this roster. I've never taken that away from him, but much like his idol Bieber, a lot of times the reckless behavior overshadows the talent.
I was going to say, plenty of talent. That's just not what he wants anyone to focus on.
You don't have to be just a public train wreck like this.
He's wrestling for the heavyweight title. I would say that train wreck landed in the right spot.
Yeah, but look at what his reputation has caused him to endure to get to this point in this match.
But it got him here. It got him here.
Oh, I'd like to point out on the outside, I believe Ray Lynn and Jimmy DeMarco are comparing muscles. I believe Ray Lynn was showing off her glutes, and DeMarco very happy with his calf muscles.
Yeah.
DeMarco, the original Calfzilla of pro wrestling. Jackknife pin by DJZ as the pace turns. There's a backslide now. DeMarco keeps rolling his pant legs up. Other shoulders trapped there for two.
I think he's just trying to match Ray Lynn's shorts.
He's telling he's telling our ringside photographer to take a picture of his calves, but we may have to take a picture of a new champion here. No. That was a devastating lung blower variation, maybe? Caught him really high. I wasn't sure where that exactly landed.
Double knees. It looked like one went into the chest, one went into the gut.
Snapmare nicely done.
And now rearranging that nose. Moving it as far across DJZ's face as he can. Let's not forget, at one point, he was the first Filipino fashion model of wrestling.
Maybe Bostic resents that a bit. The model part, not the Filipino or the fashion. Maybe the fashion. Elevates DJZ. Well, let's face it, Bostic's used to being the prettiest one in the room, the one that all the women will look at, and in his mind, the men will be jealous of, but maybe not the case now as DJZ hangs on to counter that lung blower. Backcracker by any name. DJZ elevated himself. Bostic with the right hand. And Bostic in the fight of his life here. DJZ has won every IWC championship at least once.
Very true. Oh!
Bostic face first.
And DJZ very comfortable up on that top rope.
Especially at Super Indy. He's on many a highlight reel. You never know what it's going to come next.
Oh!
Oh, the corkscrew, but didn't pay off. And now a stalemate, perhaps a turning point.
Dylan really needs to take advantage here.
Dylan measures DJZ, the finger gun, the charge. Nobody there.
Just open-handed slaps to the chest.
And Bostic. Head of steam, DJZ a step ahead. Move and counter move, and Shima caught Bostic from the blind side. And the Hurricane Rana. This is why DJZ, one of the top 3 or 4 most successful in IWC history.
Oh.
Bostic hung up on that top rope. In with a crossbody, doesn't go to pin him. T-Brana, this could do it. 2-0.
Well-timed, well-executed. Some may not know this, but DJZ actually started in wrestling because of his love of lucha libre. It's been something that he's always held on to as he learned all these other styles, competed in all these other promotions.
DJZ rolls in, DDT, Bostic pushes off. Thrust, kick, nowhere to go.
Leapfrog over.
Bostic catches him. German release suplex. Oh, what a battle this is. Spins him inward, caught the clothesline. Short and compact, new champion, no.
Caught it a little low. Had he been higher, that may have been 3.
And you can see the physical toll. Perhaps a Super Indy Tournament all-in-one for these two athletes.
And Bostic first to his feet. He's slow to climb the top rope.
Senton, nobody there. And you called it perfectly, Jay Worth. The toll of this matchup allowed the high risk to be that much riskier. DJZ had an answer.
This has taken so much out of him. I don't know that Dylan Bostic can get out of first gear, so to speak.
Hey, Raylan with a foot.
And Dylan Bostic with the checking on the tape.
Wait, look at this. And DeMarco responds in kind. That's how you even things up.
Yeah, it worked. Whoa.
DJZ, oh, got the DDT that time. Raylan on the apron. This match should be over.
And Jimmy DeMarco now in hot pursuit. Emphasis on hot. And pursuit.
And now they're in the ring. Look at this. Raylan is trapped. Maybe not. But I don't think she'll be a factor anymore. Wait, Bostic downstairs. Oh, no. Oh, the swaggy D. No, we got a new champion. No. And Bostic can't believe it.
Bostic can't believe it.
Raylan
has fallen. And
look at Bostic.
Oh!
Bostic elevates himself to save Raylan.
It's a perfect dive onto Jimmy DeMarco. Now checking on Raylan.
Raylan and DeMarco were here to keep things under control and watch each other. They made it more chaotic. Oh, no!
He may have just kicked the platinum out of Raylan. I don't know that that's what he was aiming for, but that's where he hit, Joe.
Based on the reaction of DJZ, it most certainly wasn't what he was aiming for. But Ray Lynn inserted herself into the matchup and unfortunately paid the price. And this match has stopped as Bostic checks on his fiance, girlfriend, whatever you want to call it, his partner in crime. Bostic understandably upset. Look at this!
I hate to say it, but Bostic's the one that allowed Ray Lynn into this match.
Are you kidding me? Bostic with choice words to DJZ, but the champion didn't forget we're in a title match. This is war. There will be casualties.
Like I said, for every battle, there is a price to be paid.
And Bostic changes his tune.
Bostic dumping outside. Oh!
DeMarco sends Bostic back in.
Oh! Shades of Jimmy DeMarco.
And Bostic to the eyes.
Smart counter.
This is completely broken down. Look at this.
Oh.
DDT with the second turnbuckle. Oh, kiss it goodbye. An IWC title defense, perhaps like no other. Raylan is hurt. Bostic is hurt. DeMarco is beside himself with joy because what he came here to do, watch DJZ's back, make sure it was an even turf. He accomplished that. And DJZ still champion.
DJZ knew what needed to be done and got it done. Dylan Bostic got distracted. I hate to say it, but unfortunately what should have been an asset ended up costing him. And DJZ still our champion here in IWC. We see several of IWC security and staff limping out of here.
Yeah, we got a lot of people hurt out here. But that seems to be the norm when DJZ and Jimmy DeMarco were involved. And you can see the emotion on the face of Dylan Bostic, the rage. He is irate at not just losing his goal, but how it went about happening. Ray Lynn is in tears,
being carried away from the...
I hope you're happy, DJZ. Things just went personal. And not just with me and DJZ. All the people in the back office. That was bullshit. You Justin Flower. Listen, DJZ's ass because he's on TV, snapping the odds against me. Let Jimmy DeMarco out here. I want a rematch. I demand a rematch. I'll tell you what, if you don't give me an opportunity at a rematch, I'm going to quit IWC.
I don't think anyone wants that.
Really?
Because you treat me exactly like the whole world treats my boy Justin Bieber. The fact is, we are the best in the world at what we do, and that's why I deserve the IWC World Heavyweight Champion. Good. Winners are losers, buddy. And I'll tell you this, I'd love to give you a rematch, but that's not the way things work around here. You worked your way to the top, and I commend you for that. But now you got to go back to the
Bieber does not run from fights, and neither does Dylan Bostic. So guess what? You're all gonna get what you want. And that's me climbing the ladder back to the top of IWC to give you my opportunity. Hey. I got a delicious idea. My friend has something you want. You got something I want. Now see, normally, if I'm in those days, they got the neck as thick as a chimney, smoke a pack of Newports a day, and have at least one Goldberg travel tax on some part of their body. But I'm going to make an exception for your skinny babe, because I can see she needs some delicious attention. So how about this? July 23rd, right here at court time, you beat me. You get another shot at DJZ. What do you guys think? If I beat you, I get Ray Lynn.
What?
These are high stakes.
Stakes are high.
I'm not doing this with DJZ. When we get in December, how about this? Title shot versus Kiss. Dylan Bostic versus Jimmy DeMarco. Let's do this.
So DeMarco and Bostic, a title shot, and Ray Lynn on the line. DeMarco turns IWC on its ear again.
Well, that's par for the course.
And Bostic's future as an IWC champion.
Oh!
What the hell? That's Wardlow and Justin LeBar. Oh, no.
Oh.
It's Mr. Justin LeBar. Verified on Twitter. Here he is.
Oh, come on.
Oh, do we have your attention now? So this is Super Indy, huh? Clips on, clips them all. It's all very impressive. But this is the top of the food chain. This is the man with war in his name, Wardlow!
God!
And you see, I'm one of those powerful people in the wrestling media. And I look for the best business deal possible. And the best business deal is this. The Justin Bieber of professional wrestling has just joined forces with the Justin LeBar of professional wrestling. Pete LeBar, the Platinum World Tour, all one together. Like it, run it, suck it, you're gonna get some more on it.
Oh. But, well, wait a second. Here comes DJZ. Here comes Bulk Nasty. He's had his problems with Wardlow and LeBar. Bostic was dangerous at the start of this match. But can you imagine with LeBar and Wardlow by his side what this could mean to Jimmy DeMarco next month and to potentially DJZ as well?
Yeah, it might be the smartest partnership that Dylan Bostic could have entered into. It might be the smartest partnership that Justin LeBar could have entered into. What a great combination of talents.
And the IWC title. The IWC title hangs in the balance. From 8, we now have 2. Maybe not the 2 some had expected here in IWC's crowd, but those that follow independent wrestling as a whole, likely not surprised by the outcome thus far.
Once again, absolutely stoic. No show of emotion. No sign that he is happy to be in this. Just walking to the ring, ready to do the task that is in front of him.
Alexander defeated former Super Indy champion Johnny Gargano. BJ Whitmer, Billy Gunn, former Super Indy champion Colt Cabana, former Super Indy finalists Alex Daniels and Ray Rowe to win the JT Lightning Invitational Tournament. A very, very skilled arsenal of diverse talent Alexander plowed his way through. Could he repeat that tonight? Jonathan Gresham overcame Leo Rush, Joey Janela, Ricky Shane Page, and finally David Starr to win the CZW Best of the Best. Still 3 rounds, not as many entrants, but just as much pain to get there. Can he repeat himself?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment we have all been waiting for, live from the Quarterfinal Sports Center here in Elizabeth, PA. It is time to get loud in here. Everybody right now, on your feet, get on your feet. This is the main event of the evening, and it is the tournament final of Super Indy 15. Introducing Chris from man in charge of the Belltown referee, Bobby Williams. Now, in the corner to my left, from Atlanta, Georgia, weighing in at 165 pounds, he is the recent winner of Combat Zone Wrestling's Best of the Best tournament, and he is recognized as the best technical wrestler in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Jonathan Gresham! His opponent, in the corner to my right, from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, weighing at 230 pounds, he is the recent winner of AIW's JT Lightning Invitational Tournament. He is the walking weapon! Ladies and gentlemen, this is Josh Thunder!
As both men see the prize, with a decade and a half behind it, that all started with Super Hentai defeating Christopher Daniels one March evening at the Monroeville Sports Center. Through the pomp and circumstance, both men have remained stoic and determined. Both men have been through hell tonight.
And here we go.
From Xavier and Dinero to Dunkerton and Palace, do you give either man an edge on the road they've traveled tonight?
No, honestly. I will state I am impressed by the fact that the bell rang and neither man moved.
That's respect.
They are trying to figure out just how this is going to work. You see Alexander already starting with a small head game. Squeezing the hand of Jonathan Gresham. A little harder than a standard handshake.
No headline news here that the power and leverage goes to Alexander in every sense of the word. Gresham needs to keep this matchup open, needs to keep it quick. But also, does that become counterproductive when you look at the octopus stretch that he's utilized? Will he be able to have the power and leverage to keep Alexander trapped in that hold that has thus far been able to silence both prior opponents?
Well, I want to point out that Alexander went for a Greco-Roman knuckle lock, as it's known. And you would assume Gresham would not want to be in that, but he quickly reversed it and turned it into an inverted hand lock, which serves him well for injuring that arm and looking for that octopus.
Throughout IWC history, you can look at men like Chris Sabin, Delirious, Jerry Lynn, several others, who before winning Super Indy, they were not a regular part of this roster. They were not someone you would see frequently on IWC events. However, a win in Super Indy puts them in that stratosphere. elevates their career, gives them dominance in a new territory in the country, and certainly guarantees many future appearances. We are guaranteed a new champion. We are guaranteed that champion will be outside of IWC's roster. And I don't believe that's happened since Sami Callihan 4 years prior. Sami Callihan, he endorsed Desmond Xavier as the winner. Desmond went out in the first round. That shows you how deep and competitive the field was. So many experts with so many different predictions.
Yes, very, understandable why he would back him, being that he helped train him. But and Gresham, once again, catching an arm and going and starting to look to find a way to hurt it.
And a Sami Callihan and many other individuals across this industry know the toughness and tenacity of Alexander and Gresham. And I wish I knew this would be how the final would play out, and I had time to prepare with notes to find out if these men had ever met before. Because this is a very intriguing one-on-one contest to me. Alexander doesn't just slip up underneath. You can see the elevation he gets when he heads back to the standing position.
And you notice not going out after him, letting him come back in.
And what do you think's going through Josh's mind as he makes that decision? Is it respect to Gresham? Is it not wanting to make a mistake?
I think it's part of the game plan. He's out. Let's see how long it takes for him to get back in. It's a barometer to see just where the gas tank is, so to speak. Does he run back in? Does he slowly come in? Does he try and come in house of fire?
A couple of takeovers by Gresham. Alexander quick to counter into the scissors and back to the base. Gresham tried a third time. Alexander puts the brakes on and uses that overwhelming power. Gresham took it to the mat. He had a moment of success, but Alexander just explodes with that unmitigated strength.
Like I said, it's almost like a surgeon dissecting. He looks, he finds where he can do the damage, and he figures out the maximum amount of damage he can do while in, so to speak.
How do you negotiate this if you're Gresham?
You keep away from him. You know that your advantage is speed, and you know that the more you move around, the more you're going to take out of his tank rather than yours.
And that would be, in your opinion, when Gresham can zero in on the arm and perhaps set up an octopus stretch.
Oh, I would say, I don't even know if you get to zero in so much as you pay attention to it and you look for your opportunity. You can't aim Alexander knows what he's doing. He knows that Gresham is going to be looking for that arm and that lock. He's used it well tonight, let alone the rest of his career. So he's going to be looking to protect that. So he has to pay attention and make sure that that's not where the offense is going, like here.
And Gresham trying to focus on that arm, but Alexander takes Gresham down with one shot, and taking Gresham down is no easy task.
Gresham has to look for that opportunity when the arm isn't being defended. He can't focus on it, he just has to catch it.
And the overwhelming theme I'm sensing in this building live is just a ton of respect for both these men. Oh, Gresham takes out the knee. He neutralizes the power there.
And there was a shot to the arm.
Oh, Gresham found an opening and a cross body, both men hit awkwardly. And I think Josh got the worst of it. Here comes Gresham. Oh, God, look out. Alexander's body bends across the steel and then over the top of the guardrail.
5 minutes gone by, 5 minutes gone by.
Alexander was pushed backwards, and then that sudden jolt, that sudden stop when they hit steel.
And it looked like the guardrail, I don't know, separated. Maybe it was there at the base.
And now Gresham can sense he has an opening, can sense he has Alexander reeling, and obviously is thinking a very high risk. all or nothing, perhaps early. It's a potential mistake. Will it pay off? Oh, Gresham nearly lost his balance. Plancha connects!
Flying into the crowd. And I don't know if you can see from here, but Alexander is clutching that leg.
Yeah.
We know he had tweaked his knee or done something to his knee upon hitting that sunset driver.
That's an excellent point. Back in the second round with Dinero. And it looked like Josh was trying to walk it off, and Gresham detected that and went out in pursuit.
And now Gresham just littering his path with chairs, trying to slow up Gresham.
And been a long time since I've seen a Super Indy final quite like this.
And I can't see what's happening from here.
Well, Sorgatron Media, IndyWrestling.us, getting in on the action as there is a sea of fans parting for these two ruthless athletes. Oh, and I believe that was Gresham targeting the knee of Alexander, perhaps with one of those ringside chairs.
I was going to say, I heard a thwack, a thud. Or a thwack or a thud, I'm not sure.
Now you just hear those blood-curdling screams.
And the ref giving some leeway on this, not even doing a count.
Look at this.
Oh,
Gresham sent into the steel.
head first.
Gresham tried to negotiate Alexander into the steel, but again, more body weight. Alexander was able to adjust. And Gresham done a great job of taking Alexander out of this game and negating that power advantage.
Oh!
But Alexander to his feet.
There's another one of those solid chops. Oh!
Alexander at least able to control the body weight enough on that knee to get Gresham down on top of the guardrail.
I was going to say, he seems like he's moving okay now, but you notice he went over the guardrail kind of gingerly.
Yeah.
And he's still shaking it out there, holding himself up on the apron.
I saw Alexander focus on the ankle area of Gresham a moment ago. Interesting to note that when Gresham came off the top with that cross body, it seemed that the ankles or the feet of Gresham connected with that guardrail.
Look out!
Oh, great midstream adjustment. And again, so fluid as
Alexander caught him!
Oh no! Tombstone!
On the floor! Twisting tombstone!
Forget about it!
Oh, and his knee.
Again, even with the knee pad, there was not enough protection.
I had mentioned when he first came in, no emotion. He wasn't tipping his hand at all. Well, now you can see his knees hurt.
Yeah. And Josh has done a great job of shrugging it off thus far, as best he can. But that all or nothing type risk, you know what? Gresham may be counted out here. It could pay off. But if Gresham gets back in the ring, long term, that may have been a mistake.
I mean, he did the damage.
Counts at 8. Counts at 8. We got 2 seconds. 1 second left. Will Gresham get back in? Gresham is back in.
He just limply threw his body under that bottom rope.
What an insane effort from both these men, not just in this matchup, but all night long. It's the ultimate test. Who will push their body beyond their normal limits?
And now Alexander, an elbow to the back of the head and then a clubbing forearm. And he can't stay up.
And just trying to psych himself up mostly here. Again, you can't get your footing. That throws off your striking game. You can't balance your opponent's weight. Your power game is off. Gresham's done a great wait. Oh, wait a second.
Again.
Tombstone?
No.
Oh, no, counter. Again, the weight positioning. Gresham counters. and focusing on the leg, figure 4. Yeah, got him. The huge legs of Alexander, but couldn't cinch in entirely.
Alexander caught the foot, and now twisting the ankle.
And Gresham, just like that, finds himself on the defensive. But will Gresham tap out after all this way he's come? Not even in the tournament. A substitution, an alternate. Now could find himself as champion.
And now bending that leg back and over while twisting the ankle.
And Gresham to the rope just barely. Alexander throws up an elbow pad in frustration. As again, the fatigue setting in deeply as both men are frustrated, but neither man is willing to give in.
All the pain that they've gone through to get here, I imagine now they're starting to feel every ounce of it.
Without question, adrenaline can only take you so far. There's only a matter of time before the body starts to give. Oh, look at this! Oh, twisted DDT! Beautifully done. Alexander. Can he get him? Struggled with the knee. Gresham rolls through. Sunset flip. No, can't get him.
I'll point out Alexander taken down with that DDT instinctually got back up to his feet.
Appreciation from the court time faithful, but it will only be an awesome night for one of these men. 450 right to the small of the back. He opts not to cover. Mental note made. Could that come back to haunt Gresham?
Knees up.
Alexander was ready. Gresham tried once too often. The Finley roll. And Gresham out on his feet. Pump handle. Oh! Right in the back of the neck. Done. No! And Alexander is in shock. And perhaps somewhere deep inside him, so is Gresham. But you test your body, you push it beyond its limits. You have to dig down somewhere you wouldn't normally go.
The question Alexander has is now twofold. A, what's it going to take? And B, how much more can my knee take? Every time he lifts him, every time he drops down and has to get back up, it's applying a little more stress to that knee that we know is hurt. We don't know how badly, but we know is hurt.
Josh measuring Gresham, who's out on his feet. Josh is not much better. And we've seen this before. Always visually amazing. Always potentially match-ending. Gresham knows it as well. Could be do or die here for Jonathan Gresham.
And elbows to the head. Into the crook of the neck. Oh, he's up.
Keep in mind, Gresham used strikes like that to knock out Andrew Palace. Oh my God, this is so precarious. Hold your breath. From the very top. What an effort here. But Alexander comes back. Alexander rolling with the punches. Oh! Alexander planted on his head. Got him.
Oh! Every time Alexander gets dropped, he pops right back up. He has a counter.
What a fight. And Gresham perhaps wondering what's next, or maybe what's left. Alexander much the same. And this crowd is almost in stunned silence, watching in awe. They're hanging on every motion, every movement. but not your typical vocal wrestling crowd here in suburban Pittsburgh.
Gresham it looked like he was trying to land some knees, get some strikes in. I don't know how effective they are on Alexander at this point.
I think Alexander thrives off of that type of thing. That could have been a mistake.
Bell clap.
Oh! Alexander to the jaw. Gresham comes back. Alexander is hurt. And Alexander could be the recipient. Shooting star! That'll do it! Go! Are you kidding me?
That was a textbook shooting star. I will point out, Alexander not popping up to his feet.
Yeah, there's been a lot of adrenaline, a lot of fighting spirit, and a lot of I'll shake away the pain and worry about it tomorrow. In this tournament, in this match. Josh, physically incapable of doing it anymore. And the sacrifices of so many Super Indy competitors before them. Living and breathing on in these men. Alexander said in his pre-match comments, his pre-tournament comments on .com. Oh wait, octopus stretch. Octopus stretch. Alexander, a lot of sweat in that ring as they try to counter out. Tombstone again. No. The octopus stretch.
And now forearms and elbows to the head.
If he can get the full extension on that arm, but he could never get that arm. Tombstone. Alexander on top. Alexander.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of Super Indy 16 and new Super Indy champion, the Woman Weapon, Josh Alexander!
Josh had mentioned on IWC Wrestling.com that when he was growing up, when he was first entering this industry, he'd watch AJ Styles, he'd watch CM Punk, he'd watch Chris Sabin in Super Indy tournaments of yesteryear. And one day dream. Josh Alexander in 2016 finds himself on the precipice of superstardom, much as they did in their Super Indy title wins. And Josh Alexander adds himself to one of the most prolific and star-studded title lineages in anywhere in independent professional wrestling. And Jay Worthy earned every ounce of it.
He walked into this tournament. He didn't clap. He didn't engage the crowd. He walked in and he got the job done.
He lived up to his namesake. The walking weapon was in full force. And there you see the competitive spirit, mutual respect that helped personify Super Indy as an ultimate test.
Super Indy 16, Josh Alexander!
A test of honor, a test of heart, a test of merit. A test of those who can push their body beyond their limits and come out better than maybe even they thought they'd be. Josh Alexander is the man, the Super Indy champion. As we celebrate a decade and a half of history, Josh Alexander takes Super Indy to the future.